You ever have one of those amazing game ideas pop into your head, but then you just freeze? You don't know where to even start. It feels like this huge mountain to climb. But what if I told you the secret to making a really fun game has nothing to do with writing code? At least, not at first. It's all about creating a solid blueprint before you do anything else. So, you know what? Let's do it right now. We're going to design a super simple delivery driver game from scratch, and you'll see just how powerful a little planning can be. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll talk about why planning is so darn important. Then we're going to figure out all the ingredients we need for our game world. After that, we'll lay down the law, the actual rules of play, the mechanics. And finally, we'll bring it all home with something called the 3 pillars of design, which is basically the foundation for every decision you'll make.
So first things first, why bother with a plan? I mean, can't we just jump in and start making cool stuff? Well, think about it like this. You would never, ever start building a house without a blueprint, would you? Of course not. You'd have a total disaster on your hands. It's the exact same thing with making a game. Without that map, you're just wandering in the dark, wasting tons of time on ideas that don't even work together. This is all about getting your map sorted before you start the journey.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. Your first step doesn't have to be some work of art. In fact, it's better if it's not. The whole point is to just see your game. Just visualize it. Grab a napkin, a whiteboard, whatever you've got, and just sketch it out. Your player can be a square. The pickups can be circles. Obstacles are just rectangles. This super simple drawing gets the game out of your head and into the real world, and you start to get a real feel for how it's all going to play out. The difference between planning and not planning is just night and day. Seriously. If you just dive into coding, what happens? You end up with a messy, inconsistent design, you sink hours and hours into features you end up throwing away, and the player is just left confused. It's a mess. But when you take the time to design first, everything clicks into place. You make smarter decisions because you actually have clear goals. And what you get is a coherent, polished game that feels intentional and, actually fun to play.
Okay, so hopefully we're all on board with planning now. So what's the next step? Well, now we need to figure out what actually goes in our plan. This part is kind of like making a shopping list before you head to the grocery store. We've got to identify every single object, everything that's going to exist in our game world.
For our little delivery game, this list is pretty simple, which is great. First up, obviously, we need the player's car. That's our hero. Then, a road with nothing on it is kind of boring, so let's add some obstacles to dodge and bump into. To make things a little more exciting, how about some speed-up items? Heck yeah. And, well, it's a delivery game, so we absolutely need packages to pick up. And finally, where are those packages going? To the delivery spot, our customer. See? This list right here, this is the foundation for everything we're about to build.
Awesome. We have our objects. But a pile of flour, eggs, and sugar on the counter isn't a cake, right? We need the recipe. We need to define the rules for how all these things interact with each other. This is all about the mechanics, the verbs of your game. What can the player actually do?
So, this list basically becomes our programming to-do list. It's super clear. Okay, number 1, the car has to be able to drive forwards and backwards. Check. And it needs to turn left and right. Basic movement. Got it. Then come the interactions. When our car drives over a speed up, boom, speed increases. When it hits an obstacle, oops, speed decreases. And here's the most important part. When the car touches a package, it picks it up. When it touches the delivery spot, it drops it off. Each one of these is a specific task, a function we need to code. Now, here's a really brilliant little design trick. How does the player know they actually picked up the package? I mean, we could build some big, flashy UI with text and icons, or we could use a simple status indicator. Just change the color of the car. Maybe it turns bright yellow when it's carrying a package. It's so elegant. It instantly tells the player what's going on without cluttering up the screen with a bunch of extra stuff. So simple, but so effective. All right, we've got our objects, we've got our rules. Now it's time to zoom out and look at the big picture. We need a high-level strategy to make sure all these little pieces work together to create the exact feeling we're going for. And that's where the 3 pillars of design come in. These are like your North Star for the entire project. To keep our game totally focused, we define these 3 pillars right from the start. First up is the player experience. This is all about the vibe. What do you want the player to feel? For our game, let's say we want it to be relaxing. No frantic timers, no stress, just chill driving. Pillar number 2, the core mechanic. What's the main thing the player does over and over again? For us, it's pretty simple. Drive over things. You drive over packages, you drive over speed-ups, you drive over the delivery spot. And finally, pillar number 3, the game loop. What's the main cycle of activity to win? Find all the packages and deliver them. Done. These 3 pillars will keep you honest and stop you from adding stuff that just doesn't belong.
And with that whole blueprint in place, we can have a little fun and add some personality. So what's our driver actually delivering? Well, in the example this whole design was based on, the precious cargo was tasty donuts, and they were being delivered to hungry game dev instructors. It's just a silly, simple little story that gives the game some character without needing a huge narrative team, you know? And there you have it. That's the whole process. We've gone from a fuzzy idea to a complete design blueprint, starting with a simple sketch and ending with a rock-solid design philosophy. This framework is so powerful because it lets you take literally any idea and turn it into a real, buildable plan. So the real question isn't how to start anymore. The question is for you. You have the blueprint. What game are you going to build, and what are you delivering?